Grand Rising, great morning, great afternoon, great evening. Hey, love. I am Jessie C. Love, teacher love, coach love. I am love, naturally. It's a wonderful Wednesday. We've made it this far. It's April 3rd, 2019. And I said I would end up sharing this, so I'm going to do that now. This is the Love Your Health, Love Your Life, Love Yourself education and information segment where I'm making absolutely no medical claims, no conspiracy claims, or anything other. Any other kind of claim. Do your own due diligence and research. You've always heard me say that. It would behoove you to do that. This touchy subject, a lot of people may not have ever read it. Some people may not even believe in it. May not buy it. I'm not doing it for you. As I said, I'm not for everyone, and I recognize that. I'm going to do it because with the events in Nipsey, great morning, RJ. What hurts, and as much as my heart hurts and my mind is bothered with this, none of us can fathom what Nipsey's family, Demetrius, what they're going through and what Lauren is going through. None of us can fathom that. Especially, oh no, I can't even say especially, but looking at the love that he had for his woman, the way that he displayed it, didn't care about who saw it, didn't care if anybody wanted to call him soft. He loved Lauren, and he let it be known. It wasn't private. He didn't try to block her shine, didn't try to tell her she was doing too much. He stood by her, and she stood by him. He didn't care who knew it. He complimented her. They were attracted to one another like purpose mates. I don't believe in the whole soulmate stuff. Because somebody can sap your soul, and once they get what they want, they leave. Purpose mates, a partnership, that's different. The only thing I don't like, we're in this world. We're not of this world, but there's laws of the land, and that paper matters. They were together all that time and didn't do it in covenant. That bothers me. Yet he provided for her, and more than financially. A lot of males think that provision means that it's all about money. No. She finally broke her silence and let it be known that he was her provider, he was her protector, her best friend. Every time she needed anything, no matter what it was, he never left her alone. He was in the home, raising the children. And he didn't care if anybody thought he was soft. He was a father. He was there. He was present. And I don't know if he had what he had before they got together. They've been together 5 years? I don't know if he said, well, I got to get my stuff together before we get with each other, or if he just was like, you know what, you're going to make me better. Just like I'm going to help you get better. Takes two. That's the only, I hate that they didn't get married. He didn't try to block her shine, and he loved deeply. A lot of us don't have that. We don't have that man that's like blowing us up, women, and then we look at each other and it's like, yeah, I got your back and you got mine, and I know that, and we're gonna do this together. They were tremendous with the legacy building that was going on, and I pray that her heart and her mind, that she can find some kind of comfort through this grief, that it doesn't kill her too from heartache. Oh my goodness. Nipsey found what drove him. He found his purpose. He found his passion. He found his energy. A lot of us talk about we don't know our purpose. The bad part about this whole Willie Lynch syndrome and us needing to check us is when people do find their purpose and then they're going after it, and then self-hatred says, I'm taking you out because I don't like it. Instead of, you know what, you walking in your purpose, you doing this. Let me find where I can get in. Let me nudge in and see where I can add to this, because you're doing it. You found your purpose in life. We won't ever get to our future if we keep cutting down our present. Ever. Look at all these other folks and the legacy that they create. You don't see them taking each other out like this. or being paid to, whatever it was. The fact of the matter is, a young man is gone. A young father, grandson, son, friend, gone. A mentor, a coach, so to speak, since everybody uses the word coach now. He was a mentor. He was serving others. Let me get to this Willie Lynch letter, because I'm not exactly sure how long it's going to take me to read, especially since I don't even have my darn second eyes on. It's called The Willie Lynch Letter, The Making of a Slave. If you've ever read it, by all means, feel free to comment. If you haven't, you can go and look it up for yourself. It was delivered by somebody named Willie Lynch on the bank of the James River in the colony of Virginia in 1712. Lynch was a British slave owner, meaning that he was enslaved in the West Indies. He was invited to the colony of Virginia to teach his methods to slave owners there, people that were enslaved. And the term lynching, they say, is derived from his last name. Gentlemen, December 25th, 1712. I just skipped that. That's the date. Gentlemen, I greet you here on the bank of the James River in the year of our Lord, 1712. First, I shall thank you, the gentlemen of the colony of Virginia, for bringing me here. I am here to help you solve some of your problems with slaves. Your invitation reached me on my modest plantation in the West Indies, where I have experimented with some of the newest and still the oldest methods for control of slaves. Ancient Romans would envy us if my program is implemented. As our boat sailed south on the James River, named for our illustrious king, whose version of the Bible we cherish, I saw enough to know that your problem is not unique. While Rome used cords of wood as crosses for standing human bodies along its highways in great numbers, you are here using the tree and the rope on occasions. I caught the whiff of a dead slave, a dead person hanging from a tree. Strange fruit. Let me just read the letter. A couple miles back, you are not only losing valuable stock by hangings, you are having uprisings. Slaves are running away. Your crops are sometimes left in the fields too long for maximum profit. You suffer occasional fires. Your animals are killed. Gentlemen, you know what your problems are. I do not need to elaborate. I am not here to enumerate your problems. I am here to introduce you to a method of solving them. In my bag here, I have a foolproof method for controlling your black slaves. I guarantee every one of you that if installed correctly, it will control the slaves for at least 300 years. 2012 was 300 years. My method is simple. Any member of your family or your overseer can use it. I have outlined a number of differences among the slaves and make the differences bigger. I use fear, distrust, and envy for control. These methods have worked on my modest plantation in the West Indies, and it will work throughout the South. Take this simple little list of differences and think about them. On top of my list is age, but there's only one. But it's there only because it starts with an A. The second is color or shade. There is intelligence, size, sex, size of plantations, and status on the plantations. Attitude of owners, whether the slaves live in the valley, on a hill, east, west, north, south, have fine hair, coarse hair, or is tall or short. Now that you have a list of differences, I shall give you an outline of action. But before that, I shall assure you that distrust is stronger than trust, and envy stronger than adulation, respect, or admiration. Envy is stronger than adulation, respect, or admiration. The black slaves, after receiving this indoctrination, shall carry on and will become self-refueling and self-generating for hundreds of years, maybe thousands. Don't forget, you must pitch the old black male versus the young black male, and the young black male against the old black male. You must use the dark-skinned slaves versus the light-skinned slaves, and the light-skinned slaves versus the dark-skinned slaves. You must use the female versus the male, and the male versus the female. You must also have your white servants and overseers distrust all blacks. It is necessary that your slaves trust and depend upon us. They must love, respect, and trust only us. Gentlemen, these kits are your keys to control. Hey, Lynn. Hey, use them. Have your wives and children use them. Never miss an opportunity. If used intensely for 1 year, the slave themselves will remain perpetually distrustful of each other. Thank you, gentlemen. Let's make a slave. It was the interest and business of slaveholders to study human nature, and the slave nature in particular, with a view to practical results. I and many of them attained astonishing proficiency in this direction. They had to deal not with the earth, wood, and stone, but with men, and by every regard they had for their own safety and prosperity, they needed to know the material on which they were to work. Conscious of the injustice and wrong, they were every hour perpetuating and knowing what they themselves would do. Were they the victims of such wrongs? They were constantly looking for the first signs of the dreaded retribution. They watched, therefore, with skilled and practiced eyes, and learned to read with great accuracy the state of mind and heart of the slave through his sable face, usual sobriety, apparent abstractions, sultriness, and indifference indeed. Any mood out of the common was afforded ground for suspicion and inquiry. Let us make a slave. What do we need? First of all, we need a black nigger man, a pregnant nigger. I don't care if you say nigger, nig, whatever. It will never be a term of endearment. Ooh, it's so inflaming. Let me start over. First of all, we need a black nigger man, a pregnant nigger woman, and her baby nigger boy. Second, we will use the same basic principle that we use in breaking a horse, combined with some more sustaining factors. What we do with the horses is that we break them from one form of life to another, that is, we reduce them from their natural state in nature, whereas nature provides them with the natural capacity to take care of their offspring. We break the natural string of independence from them and thereby create a dependency status so that we may be able to get them from their useful production for our business and pleasure. Calm down. Cardinal principles for making a Negro. For fear that our future generations may not understand the principles of breaking both of the beasts together, the nigger and the horse, we understand that short-range planning economics results in periodic economic chaos. So that to avoid turmoil in the economy, it requires us to have breadth and depth in long-range comprehensive planning, articulating both skilled, sharp perceptions. We lay down the following principles for long-range comprehensive economic planning. Both horse and niggers is no good for the economy in the wild or natural state. Both must be broken and tied together for orderly production, for orderly future. Special and particular attention must be paid to the female and the youngest offspring. Both must be crossbred to produce a variety and division of labor. Both must be taught to respond to a particular new language. Psychological and physical instruction of containment must be created for both. We hold the 6 cardinal principles as truth to be self-evident, based upon the following: the discourse concerning the economics of breaking and tying the horse and the nigger together, all inclusive of the 6 principles laid down about. Note, neither principle alone will suffice for good economics. All principles must be employed for orderly good of the nation. Accordingly, both a wild horse and a wild or nature nigger is dangerous even if captured, for they will have a tendency to seek their customary freedom, and in doing so might kill you in your sleep. You cannot rest. They sleep while you are awake, and are awake while you are asleep. They are dangerous near the family house, and it requires too much labor to watch them far away. It's dangerous. Y'all. Oh, Lord. My heart rate. Okay, let me get back. Above all, no, they are dangerous near the family house, and it requires too much labor to wash them away from the house. Above all, you cannot get them to work in this natural state. Hence, both the horse and the nigger must be broken. That is breaking them from one form of their mental life to another. Keep the body, take the mind. In other words, break the will to resist. Now, the breaking process is the same for both the horse and the nigger, only slightly varying in degrees. But as we said before, there is an art in long-range economic planning. You must keep your eye and thoughts on the female and the offspring of the horse and the nigger. A brief disclosure in offspring development will shed light on the key to sound economic principles. Pay little attention to the generation of original breaking, but concentrate on future generations. Therefore, if you break the female mother, she will break the offspring in its early years of development. And when the offspring is old enough to work, she will deliver it up to you. For her normal female productive tendencies will have been lost in the original breaking process. For example, take the case of the wild stud horse, a female horse and an already infant horse, and compare the breaking process with two captured nigger males in their natural state. A pregnant nigger woman with her infant offspring. Take the stud horse, break him for limited containment. Completely break the female horse until she becomes very gentle, whereas you or anybody can ride her in her comfort. Breed the mare and the stud until you have the desired offspring. Then you can turn the stud to freedom until you need him again. Train the female horse whereby she will eat out of your hand, and she will in turn train the infant horse to eat out of your hand also. When it comes to breaking the uncivilized nigger, use the same process, but vary the degree and step up the pressure so as to do a complete reversal of the mind. Take the meanest and most restless nigger, strip him of his clothes in front of the remaining male niggers, the female and the nigger infant. Tar and feather him. Tie each leg to a different horse facing opposite directions. Set him afire and beat both horses to pull him apart in front of the remaining nigger. The next step is to take a bullwhip and beat the remaining nigger male to the point of death in front of the female and the infant. Don't kill him, but put the fear of God in him, for he can be useful for future breeding. The breaking process of the African woman. Take the female and run a series of tests on her to see if she will submit to your desires willingly. Test her in every way, because she is the most important factor for good economics. If she shows any sign of resistance in submitting completely to your will, do not hesitate to use the bullwhip on her to extract the last bit of resistance out of her. Take care not to kill her, for in doing so, you spoil good economic. When in complete submission, she will train her offsprings in the early years to submit to labor when they become of age. Understanding is the best thing. Therefore, we shall go deeper into this area of the subject matter concerning what we have produced here in this breaking process of the female nigger. We have reversed the relationship in her natural uncivilized state. She would have a strong dependency on the uncivilized nigger male, and she would have a limited protective tendency toward her independent male offspring, and would raise male offsprings to be dependent like her. Nature had provided for this type of balance. We reverse nature by burning and pulling a civilized nigger apart and bullwhipping the other to the point of death, all in her presence. By her being left alone, unprotected, with the male image destroyed, the ordeal caused her to move from her psychological dependent state to a frozen, independent state. In this frozen psychological state of independence, she will raise her male and female offspring in reverse roles. For fear of the young male's life, she will psychologically train him to be mentally weak and dependent, but physically strong. Because she has become psychologically independent, she will train her female offsprings to be psychologically independent. What have you got? You've got the nigger women out front and the nigger man behind and scared. This is a perfect situation of sound sleep and economic. Before the breaking process, we had to be alertly on guard at all times. Now we can sleep soundly, for out of a frozen fear this woman stands guard for us. He cannot get past her early slave molding process. He is a good tool, now ready to be tied to the horse at a tender age. By the time a nigger boy reaches the age of 16, he is soundly broken in and ready for a long life of sound and efficient work and the reproduction of a unit of good labor force. Continually through the breaking of uncivilized savage nigger, by throwing a nigger female savage into a frozen psychological state of independence, by killing off the protective male image, or the killing of the protective male image, and by creating a submissive dependent mind of the nigger male slave, we have created an orbited cycle that turns on its own axis forever. Unless a phenomenon occurs and reshifts the position of the male and female slaves, we show what we mean by example. Take the case of the two economic slave units and examine them closely. The nigger marriage. Ooh, I thought I was going to be able to read this without getting upset. Again. We breed two nigger males with two nigger females. Then we take the nigger males away from them and keep them moving and working. Say one nigger female bears a nigger female and the other bears a nigger male. Both nigger females being without influence of the nigger male image, frozen with an independent psychology, will raise their offspring into reverse positions. The one with the female offspring will teach her to be like herself, independent and negotiable. We negotiate with her, through her, by her. We negotiate her at will. The one with the nigger male offspring, she being frozen with a subconscious fear for his life, will raise him to be mentally dependent and weak, but physically strong. In other words, body over mind. Now, in a few years, when these two offsprings become fertile for early reproduction, we will mate and breed them and continue the cycle. This is good, sound, and long-range comprehensive planning. Warning, possible interloping negatives. Earlier we talked about the non-economic good of the horse and the nigger in their wild or natural state. We talked about the principle of breaking and tying them together for orderly production. Furthermore, we talked about paying particular attention to the female savage and her offspring for orderly future planning. Then more recently, we stated that by reversing the positions of the male and female savages, we created an orbiting cycle that turns on its own axis forever unless a phenomenon occurred and resift and positions of the male and female savages. Our experts warned us about the possibility of this phenomenon occurring, for they say that the mind has a strong drive to correct and recorrect itself over a period of time if I can touch some substantial original historical base, and they advise us that the best way to deal with the phenomenon is to shave off the brute's mental history and create a multiplicity of phenomenon of illusions, so that each illusion will twirl in its own orbit, something similar to floating balls in a vacuum. This creation of multiplicity of phenomena of illusions entails the principle of crossbreeding the nigger and the horse, as we stated above, the purpose of which is to create a diversified division of labor, thereby creating different levels of labor and different values of illusion at each connecting level of labor. The results of which is a severance of the points of the original beginnings of each sphere illusion. Since we feel that the subject matter may get more complicated as we proceed in laying down our economic plan concerning the purpose, reason, and effect of crossbreeding horses and nigger, we shall lay down the following definition terms for future generations. Orbiting cycle means a thing turning in a given path. Axis means upon which or around which a body turns. Phenomenon means something beyond an ordinary conception and inspires awe and wonder. Multiplicity means a great number. Sphere means a globe. Crossbreeding a horse means taking a horse and breeding it with an ass, and you get a dumb, backward ass, long-headed mule that is not reproductive nor productive by itself. Crossbreeding niggers mean taking so many drops of good white blood and putting them into as many nigger women as possible, varying the drops by the various tone that we want, or that you want, and then letting them breed with each other until another cycle of color appears as you desire. What this means is this: put the niggers and the horse in a breeding pot, mix some asses and some good white blood, and what do you get? You got a multiplicity of colors of ass backward, unusual niggers running tied to a backward ass long-headed mule, and the one productive of itself, the other sterile. The one constant, the other dying. We keep the nigger constant, for we may replace the mules for another tool. Both mule and nigger tied to each other, neither knowing where the other came from, and neither productive for itself, nor without each other. Control the language. Crossbreeding completed. For further severance from their original beginning, we must completely annihilate the mother tongue of both the new nigger and the new mule and institute a new language that involves a new life's work of both. You know, language is a peculiar institution. It leads to the heart of a people. The more a foreigner knows about the language of another country, the more he is able to move through all levels of that society. Therefore, if the foreigner is an enemy of the country to the extent that he knows the body of the language, to that extent is the country vulnerable to attack or invasion of the foreign culture. For example, if you take a slave, if you teach him all about your language, he will know all your secrets, and he is then no more a slave, for you can't fool him any longer. For example, if you told a slave that he must perform in getting out our crops, and he knows the language well, he would know that our crops didn't mean our crops, and the slavery system would break down, for he would relate on the basis of what our crops really means. So you have to be careful in setting the new language, for the slaves would soon be in your house talking to you man to man. And that is death to our economic system. In addition, the definitions of words or terms are only a minute part of the process. Values are created and transported by communication through the body of language. A total society has many interconnected value systems. All the values in the society have bridges of language to connect them for orderly working in a society. But for these languages, the language bridges these many value systems with sharp clash and cause internal strife or civil war. The degree of the conflict being determined by the magnitude of the issues or relative opposing strength in whatever form. For example, if you put a slave in a hog pen and train him to live there, incorporating him to value it as a way of life completely, the biggest problem you would have out of him is that he would marry you or would worry you about the provisions to keep the hog pen clean, or the same hog pen and make a slip and incorporate something in his language whereby he comes to value a house more than he does his hog pen. You got a problem. He will soon be in your house. We always say we want to find our purpose. Hey, T. Cole. The problem is that when a lot of us find it, we need to check us so that we get on board with the purpose versus tearing it down. We'll never get to our future if we keep killing our present. I don't care how you say nigger. I don't care. I don't care. It will never be a term of endearment to know what our ancestors went through. And that old breeding, they didn't just stop with their own blood. They removed the father, the husband, and put him with another woman, and another woman, and another woman. So all of these males talking about they juggling, you know, you got this woman, that woman, this one. Partner, please. Until somebody proves it otherwise. That's one thing I loved about Nipsey. Lauren was it. And he didn't care who knew. Ugh. I never read that and not get upset. Ever. And being that I'm from Mississippi, and a lot of you don't know, a lot of this still goes on. Even last week, going out to watch March Madness, stepping into some place I didn't step in. God knows, God, oh my gosh, the source stopped me from going into that place because I got a phone call. But the people that I was with went into a place where they weren't welcome. And they were told to get out based on the color of their skin. It still goes on. Nothing is marked anywhere that says whites only. Negroes, niggers, whatever, not allowed. But you still have it. We need to check ourselves and stop cutting each other down. Nobody else talks as badly as a lot of us do. That hoe over there came from that time. Hello. You just changed the acronym. Research it. Find it out. It ain't nothing new. It ain't cute either. Wisdom, comprehension, understanding, overstanding will have you change the way you talk to your reflection. Not just yourself, but your brother and your sister. The way that you treat, the way that we treat one another, the way that we talk to one another, the way that we pull down one another, the way we cut each other down. If you really get into it, there's one thing, being from Mississippi and coming down south and knowing and seeing and living, you know, a lot of us, we got blinders on because we think it ain't going on no more. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Oh. Whoa, we gotta check ourselves and not be at that point where you can't tell me nothing. That ain't the way it used to be. It ain't the way it used to be. We used to look out for one another, have each other's back. And when we saw that somebody was doing something, it was, how can I help you? Hello, when you make a cake, there's a lot of ingredients that go into it. Now, if my neighbor got eggs and I don't, I'm going to go and get some eggs. I'm a barter. I know how to make this. Let me give that to you. Oh, I know how to make this. Let's combine and work together. It's deeper. It's deep. The source knows I didn't need to go into that place last week. And when they let me know, we were driving away. Because I was like, what? Excuse me? Who did? Yeah, no. No. It pains to live it. We got to do better. And we got to check ourselves, y'all. Thanks, RJ. Now, I got to go out and about. So I'm going to woosah myself. Because everybody ain't the problem. Everybody is not the problem. But there are those. They see the gift and they don't want it to flourish. What we have to do, hey Paula, is keep going no matter what and leave something behind for somebody else to carry that torch. We all gonna go. What did you do while you were here? Dr. Miles says to live full and die empty. Give everything that you got every single day. Will every day and every moment be rosy? No. You just have to keep thinking about who didn't give up and who kept going so that we could be where we are. We are not standing on just regular ground. We standing on somebody's shoulders. And I know when I walk around out here, I think about this blood-soaked soil. Ooh. It ain't just about me. It ain't just about you. It's about us. It's about we. It's what we are going to do. Your life is not just yours. It's not. My life ain't just mine. And all of my decisions don't just impact me. Y'all, I appreciate your time. I think I'll be on food or something Friday. which is something else that Nipsey was talking about. But look, with these love your health, love your life, love yourself, education and information segments, that whole conspiracy of, you know, Nipsey was about to do the documentary, I've done at least 70 foods Dr. CB presented. No, it's out there. A lot of us don't even utilize the information. So, no, that was a man doing something for the community, about to talk to the police about violence, giving back. He found his purpose and he was working in it and just expanding some more. And just, at 33, I can only imagine what he would have been doing at 63 and the impact that he would have had. Just 33 and look at what he was doing. Can we give each other a chance to see what will happen when we get to the end? Man, you're here for a reason. Everybody was born with a talent or many talents, a gift. I don't know how many sperm they say, billions. Billions didn't make it, but we're one of the ones that did. And to sit on our gift, to sit on our talent, to sit on our purpose, instead of getting out there, no matter who says, or so what, somebody doesn't like it, but you're here to give it. And so am I. So I ain't just talking about you. I'm talking about me too. Get your life. Help somebody else get theirs. They're not. They're not. I'm glad you're thinking, Lynn. We just can't think too much. We got to put some action in. A lot of us, I think I did that with my status today. We're thinking and planning. Momentum takes action. Just think if Nipsey would have said, you know what, I'm gang banging. I'm with a gang. And, you know, I'm not going to do this. Just because I'm with a gang. The lives that he wouldn't have touched. As I've said before, a lot of us miss the message because we're looking at the messenger. Listen to the message. Stop judging. Look at the heart. Stop looking at pulchritude. Because we don't know who's supposed to teach us something. Man. I hate reading that letter because it always gets me feeling some kind of way. And now I'm down here, down south. It's the first time I read it when I'm down here. And knowing what just happened last week, I just didn't come on to tell y'all about it. Because I was like, people don't think it's still going on. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. It's a struggle. But the fact that we're still here, you know, they made it back to the car safely. And we got away without incident. Still a blessing. It's still a beautiful day. So I'm going to go ahead and woosah myself. And I'm going to purposely talk to somebody that don't look like me today. I'm going to have to just to connect to a soul that is beneficial. Oh, God. Oh, Lord. All right, y'all. I appreciate your time. Thank you for tuning in. Woo, there's a reason why I say make it a lovely day, not just for you. Find somebody else who wants to make it a lovely day for them too, and do it. There's a reason. Everything has a purpose. Nothing is a coincidence. You just got to make it happen. A love like that. My gosh. All right, y'all. I'm gonna get a slushie or something. I'll just our source, who I call God most of the time, the light, my daddy, say the same. I will see y'all the next time that I'm live. You are so welcome. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, and as always, love you. And I don't mean just that. I love you. Love you. And love somebody else too. Yeah. All right.